Hi all, these are the notes or my notes on chapter 24, and this is going to be the audio walkthrough of them. And let me yell at a dog. Peanut, what are you doing? Okay, she's behaving now. You can find the Word document under the My Questions thread or the Questions thread rather for chapter 4 and under the My Notes post. Okay, chapter 4, week 4. Blech. Brain is apparently dead. For this, I think this is probably going to take more than one part because it looks like we've got several Word document pages on it from down here. See, looks like 9. But let's start off with the immune system. So, immune system, the body system of defenses against infectious disease. So this is going to be using those white blood cells again, right? Pathogens are disease-causing viruses and microorganisms. You'll hear about these all the time in any doctor show. Innate defenses, that is, they are already present and act the same whether or not the invader has been previously encountered. It's just things your body naturally has all the time. Adaptive defenses, these are internal defenses that must be activated by exposure to specific invaders. Think specifically the immune system, right? So those would be things like why you need vaccines. Let's scroll down. I'm ignoring a checkpoint because it makes me happy. Organ systems that are open to the external environment, such as respiratory, digestive, reproductive, and urinary systems, are lined with mucous membranes. These membranes secrete secrete mucus with the mucous membranes, and that's a sticky fluid that traps bacteria, dust, and other particles. Beating cilia extend from the cells of the respiratory tract, sweep mucus with the trapped particles outward until it is swallowed or expelled by sneezing, coughing, or blowing of the nose. External barriers also include chemical defenses in the form of antimicrobial secretions. Sweat, saliva, and tears contain enzymes that disrupt bacterial cell walls. Glands produce oils and acids that make the skin inhospitable for microbes. I wish you all could see what my guinea pigs are doing. They're just acting insane. It's hilarious. Concentrated stomach acid kills most of the bacteria we swallow before they can enter the blood stream. Think about this anytime you hear about like the Komodo dragon. Is that right? I think it's right. Any of those different species where the bite is not poisonous, but the bacteria in the mouth causes the bite to be poisonous. Those kind of things. Or you'll hear about a dog's mouth is cleaner than ours because of the bacteria it's able to kill off. Same concept, right? Let's scroll down. Oh, so I have a nice little picture. That was all I had, right? Let's check. Yep, that's all I had. So let's scroll down to the pretty picture. Here is some pictures of what we're talking about, right? So innate defenses, this is like your skin, your mucous membranes, your natural killer cells, defense proteins. Your adaptive defenses are going to be antibodies and lymphocytes. And the lymphatic system can do a little bit of both, right? A little bit of both. I like the adaptive system more because it's just more interesting. The second line of defense, we got white blood cells. Those can be phagocytic cells, natural killer cells, interferons, or complement proteins, okay? So let's talk about the inflammatory response to injury and infection. This is going to be the swelling and the pus that you see when you have an infection. Anti-inflammatory drugs such as aspirin and ibuprofen dampen the normal inflammatory response and help reduce swelling and fever. It's really interesting to look at like a web page on the comparison of the basic pain relievers and see exactly what they each do. This is an example of treating symptoms of an illness, for example fever, without addressing the underlying cause, which is the injury or infection. And that's an interesting concept. Like, when is it better to treat the symptoms than the cause? Or do you want to do both, or just neither? The lymphatic system consists of branching network of vessels. When your body is fighting an infection, the lymphatic system is the main battleground. Lymph nodes fill the huge number of white blood cells, causing the swollen glands in your neck and your armpits that your doctor feels for a likely sign of infection. I get one on my neck that, it just hurts. Adaptive defenses depend on white blood cells called lymphocytes that recognize and respond to specific invading pathogens. So these are really specific, right? There are two types of lymphocytes, B cells and T cells. You hear about these all the time in medical dramas. Any molecule that elicits a response from a lymphocyte is called an antigen. So it doesn't matter if it really is bad or really good, it's going to be called an antigen. Most antigens are molecules on the surfaces of viruses or foreign cells, such as the cells of bacteria or parasitic worms. Lovely. Oh, went too far. Oh, talk about diversifying immune system as a child. This is a nice little link below this that discusses that. Monoclonal antibodies are antibodies produced by cells that are descended from a single cell and therefore produce identical antibodies for a specific single antigen. Okay? The first response to exposure of the lymphocytes to an antigen is called the primary immune response. Makes sense? It's primary. It takes several days to produce effector cells via the clonal selection. The first response to exposure, did I just do that? Why did I have it twice? I don't know. Great job. Delete. Ah, it's gone. Memory cells are long-lived cells that respond to subsequent exposures to the antigen by giving rise to effector cells and also more memory cells. Thus, clonal selection produces not only cells that will fight the first exposure to the antigen, but also cells that respond to future exposures. So if you've been exposed to one version of the flu, then in future, you're already prepared to attack that version. That's why you get the flu vaccine, which I'm going to do soon. I always say that. It was so much easier in Peace Corps. It's just making the time. Got to make the time. When the antigen is encountered again, the memory cells that bind to it initiate a faster and stronger response called the secondary immune response. The activated memory cells multiply quickly, producing a large new clone of lymphocytes. In the case of the B cells, the new clone produces antibodies that are often more effective than those produced during the primary immune response, because they know exactly what to look for. You're probably going to be cloning the better versions, right? Makes sense. And here are like vaccines. How do they work? We mentioned them for immunity. Why is it so important to have a large number of people immune via vaccines? What happens when you don't have that? Who cannot be vaccinated? Some people are allergic, some people are too young, right? All those things we want to take into account. And then here's a nice article on the vaccine debate. I would definitely pro-vaccine. There's been no link between vaccines and autism, except for one study where the person later admitted that he lied. So you can't really trust that study, right? Allergies. Allergies are sensitivities to otherwise harmless antigens in the environment. That's what I said, like not all antigens are necessarily bad, but we're reacting to them. Antigens that cause allergies are called allergens. Common allergens include protein molecules of pollen grains on the feces of tiny mites that live in house dust and in animal dander shed skin cells. Allergic reactions typically occur very rapidly in response to tiny amounts, sometimes a few molecules of the allergen. Think of that the allergy test that people can have done on their back. Also, histamine causes blood vessels to dilate and leak fluid, causing nasal irritation, itchy skin, and tears. Because allergens usually enter the body through the nose and throat, symptoms are often most prominent there. Antihistamines are drugs that interfere with histamine's action and give temporary relief to an allergy. There's been several studies on whether or not these are really effective, but you'd have to look up the most current research. Allergic reactions range from seasonal nuisances to severe life-threatening responses. I just heard of something called antihistamine. See, I just said not being effective. Look into. So with this life-threatening versus minor, so you think like, oh, someone cut the lawn, I have allergies, versus to have a severe allergy to bees, and if I get stung, I need the EpiPen, right? Extreme differences. Let's scroll down. Autoimmune system, I went too far. No, I didn't. Right there. I'm just apparently blind. Autoimmune diseases result when the immune system improperly turns against its body's own molecules. Great little National Institute of Health link. Insulin. So what is insulin? Insulin-dependent diabetes. The insulin-producing cells of the pancreas are targets for the cytotoxic T cells. In multiple sclerosis, T cells wrongly attack proteins in neurons, often causing a number of serious neurological problems. Recent research suggests Crohn's disease and a chronic inflammation of the digestive tract may be caused by an autoimmune reaction against bacteria that normally inhabit the digestive tract. So these are different things where your body is attacking itself. Let's scroll down. Immunodeficiency diseases. Immunodeficient people lack one or more of the components of the immune system and are therefore susceptible to infections that would normally not cause a problem. You think of someone who's like suffering from AIDS, they have immunodeficiency disease, so they get the flu and it kills them, right? That kind of thing. And he's going to talk about that. I really should stop randomly going on tangents, because the next paragraph is what I'm talking about. So when HIV depletes the body of helper T cells, both the cell-mediated and humoral immune responses are severely impaired. Death usually results not from HIV itself, but from the infection agent or from cancer. The name AIDS refers to the fact that the disease is acquired through the infection that results severe immunodeficiency due to the lack of T cells and presents as a syndrome, a combination of symptoms. And there's a nice little link on the basic of HIV, because the book friggin' loves HIV. It seems like every chapter we talk about HIV. I think that's all I have. Oh my gosh, it was only one part. Isn't that nice? Very nice. So, with immune system, we're talking about now not necessarily how the body regulates temperature or water, but how it regulates the fact that there's other organisms in the body, or in the environment, right? So how do we survive in an environment that everybody wants to succeed, to be successful and reproduce, including the little nasty nasties that want to inhabit us and continue their world? There's been a lot of research lately on rabies. There's a guy who's trying a way of putting people into a coma for a little while and seeing if that helps, and that might be an interesting topic to cover and look into if you find that kind of thing interesting. Just in general, this is a fun part to look at diseases that are not genetic but are acquired and see how does the disease work? How is it successful? How does the body try to stop it? How does it succeed in stopping our body? Or do we kill it off? Like, what have we found a vaccine for? What was the first vaccines? How has that changed our world, right? Very interesting topic. I hope this helped and got you thinking.